What if the most powerful thing you could do for your body tonight wasn't a supplement, a workout, or a new morning routine, but simply doing nothing? What if the single most transformative act available to you right now costs absolutely nothing, requires no equipment, no prescription, and no willpower beyond one quiet decision: not eating dinner? Before you dismiss that as too simple, too easy, or even dangerous, stay with me. Because what happens inside your body when you skip dinner, not once, but consistently over 14 days, is one of the most fascinating biological stories ever told. A story written not in a lab, but in the ancient DNA of every human being who ever walked this earth, before grocery stores, midnight snacks, and the habit of eating by the clock existed. This isn't about starvation. This isn't about punishment. This is about what your body was always designed to do when you finally get out of its way. Let's start at the very beginning. Night 1. You've made the decision. Dinner isn't happening. And for the first few minutes, everything feels completely normal. You're not hungry yet. You're just aware. There's a quiet discomfort, like something is missing from your evening, but you can't quite name it. That unease is real, and it's important, but it has almost nothing to do with your stomach.
The moment your body realizes no food is coming, your insulin levels begin to fall. Insulin, the hormone your pancreas releases every time you eat, is responsible for shuttling glucose into your cells for energy. With no dinner arriving, there's no glucose surge, no insulin spike, just a slow, steady drop. And in that drop, something remarkable begins to stir. Your liver, ever the quiet guardian, steps forward. It starts breaking down glycogen, the stored form of sugar it's been holding in reserve, and releases it gently into your bloodstream to keep your blood sugar stable. You feel fine. You might even feel a little lighter, a little clearer. And that's not your imagination. With no heavy meal sitting in your stomach demanding blood flow and digestive energy, your brain actually gets a slightly better share of the body's resources. But here's where it gets interesting. That hunger you start to feel around the time you'd normally be sitting down to eat, neuroscience tells us it's almost entirely psychological. It's not your cells screaming for glucose, it's your brain noticing an absence in the ritual. The smell of food, the sound of a plate being set down, the transition from the busyness of the day to the comfort of a meal. Your nervous system has tied all of that together into a deeply conditioned loop. Break the loop, and the brain protests. Not because you're dying, but because routine is the brain's favorite security blanket.
This is the first battle, and most people lose it right here. They feel the emotional pull of a missed dinner, the slight irritability, the vague sadness, the restlessness, and they interpret it as their body failing. But it isn't failure. It's the first crack in a pattern that may have been quietly working against you for years. If you hold the line through night 1, you wake up the next morning having already done something extraordinary. Your body spent the night in a low insulin state for the first time in a long time. Fat cells, no longer locked behind an insulin barrier, began whispering to each other. The vault wasn't open yet, but the lock had loosened. By the second night, your body is beginning to understand that this isn't an accident. Something has shifted in the routine, and your biology, ancient and adaptive as it is, begins recalibrating. Glycogen stores are getting lower. The liver is working harder to maintain stable blood sugar. But rather than chaos, there's a kind of quiet efficiency emerging. Your body is remembering something it always knew how to do. Then comes day 3. And this is where everything changes. By the third evening without dinner, your liver's glycogen reserves are nearly exhausted. In the modern world, this almost never happens. We eat so frequently, so abundantly, that most people never reach this threshold in their entire adult lives. But you have crossed it. And what waits on the other side is one of the most profound metabolic shifts a human body can experience. With glucose unavailable and glycogen nearly gone, your body makes a decision that evolution spent millions of years perfecting. it turns to fat. Not reluctantly, not as a last resort in a panic, but smoothly, intelligently, the way a seasoned traveler switches from one road to another when the first one closes. Fat cells begin releasing fatty acids into the bloodstream, and your liver converts them into molecules called ketones. Ketones are not just fuel, they are a signal, a message written in the biochemical language of your cells that says, "We have crossed over. We are no longer dependent on the next meal. We are running on reserves, on storage, on the energy our ancestors built into us for exactly this kind of moment." Your brain, which you might assume would suffer without its constant glucose supply, actually thrives on ketones. Many people describe this transition as a slow clearing of mental fog they didn't even know was there, a steadiness of thought, a quieting of the background noise in the mind.
Yes, there's a small transition period. A day or two where you might feel slightly lightheaded, a little sluggish, mildly irritable, as your brain adjusts to running on a different fuel source. That's normal. That's the switchover. But on the other side of that brief discomfort is something that feels almost all. And while your conscious mind is navigating all of this, something even more profound is happening at the cellular level that most people have never heard of and almost no one talks about. It's called autophagy. It's a word that comes from the Greek for self-eating. And while that might sound alarming, it is one of the most beautiful and powerful processes in all of human biology. When your body is no longer occupied with digesting food, processing glucose, and managing insulin, it turns its attention inward. It begins auditing itself, identifying damaged proteins, dysfunctional organelles, aging cellular components that are no longer pulling their weight, and it breaks them down, recycles their parts, and uses them to build something better. Add small pauses between key ideas. Use a story lover's excitement, but keep it smooth and professional. Emphasize numbers, specs, and features with enthusiasm. Slight dramatic build-up before important lines. Keep the tone warm, confident, and knowledgeable. No shouting. Excitement should feel like a real gearhead talking to another gearhead. This is not a metaphor. This is cellular renovation happening in real time inside your body. And it is so significant to human health and longevity that the scientist who discovered it won the Nobel Prize. Autophagy has been linked to reduced risk of cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, metabolic disorders, and accelerated aging. And the most striking thing about it? You can't buy it. You can't inject it. You can only create the conditions for it to happen. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is exactly what you're doing, giving your body a long, uninterrupted stretch without food. Your sleep, too, begins to transform in ways you'll feel immediately. Without a large evening meal raising your core body temperature and spiking your insulin just as your circadian rhythm is trying to wind you down, your body can do what it was designed to do at night. Melatonin rises cleanly, body temperature drops naturally, and your brain's own cleaning system, the glymphatic system, a network that flushes out toxic waste products that accumulate during waking hours, kicks into high gear. The quality of your sleep deepens. You move through sleep stages more efficiently. You wake up not just rested, but somehow lighter, mentally quieter, as if something that had been subtly cluttering your experience of the world has been quietly swept away. As you move through days 5, 6, and 7, a new rhythm begins to establish itself. The dramatic internal negotiations of the first few days settle into something more like flow. Your liver and pancreas, organs that in modern life rarely get a break from the relentless cycle of eating and digesting, are now able to redirect their energy toward repair. Cellular detoxification deepens, tissue renewal accelerates, and your gut, that vast and criminally underappreciated ecosystem sitting at the center of your immune system, begins to heal. The lining of the intestines, constantly bombarded by the mechanical and chemical demands of digestion, gets an extended rest. Beneficial bacteria begin to reassert themselves. Inflammatory markers in the gut start dropping. And since roughly 70% of your immune system lives in and around your digestive tract, this isn't just a gut story. It's a whole body immune reset happening quietly while you sleep.
Add small pauses, like you're explaining something important. Use a story lover's excitement, but keep it smooth and professional. Emphasize numbers, specs, and features with enthusiasm. Slight dramatic build-up before important lines. Keep the tone warm, confident, and knowledgeable. No shouting. Excitement should feel like a real gearhead talking to another gearhead. Emotionally, something shifts in your relationship with hunger itself. What started as an urgent, almost panicked feeling in the evenings has become something far gentler, a suggestion rather than a demand, a whisper rather than a shout. Your brain has begun rewriting its own programming around food, learning to distinguish between the conditioned craving that comes from habit and the genuine physiological signal that comes from actual need. These are two very different things, and most people in the modern world have never learned to tell them apart because they've never given themselves the chance. By days 8 through 10, the transformation is no longer just physical, it's structural. Your mitochondria, the microscopic power plants inside every cell in your body, have begun multiplying. More mitochondria means more efficient energy production, better fat metabolism, greater cellular resilience, and stronger protection for your neurons. You are literally building a more powerful engine inside yourself, not by adding something, but by creating the conditions for your body to upgrade itself.
Insulin continues to stabilize at consistently lower levels, unlocking the body's stored fat more and more completely. Leptin, the hormone responsible for signaling satiety and fullness, recalibrates. You stop eating by the clock. You stop eating out of boredom, anxiety, or social habit. When you do feel hunger now, it is honest. It is clean. It is your body communicating a genuine need, and when you respond to that need, you satisfy it precisely and then stop, because the signal telling you to stop is now working the way it was designed to. The brain benefits compound. BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, sometimes called fertilizer for the brain, rises significantly during extended overnight fasting. It supports the growth of new neurons, strengthens existing neural connections, and has been associated with protection against depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. You're not just thinking more clearly because the brain fog is gone. You're building a biologically stronger brain, day by day, night by night. As you arrive at days 11 through 14, the reconstruction is nearly complete. Autophagy is now working at full depth, not just clearing surface-level cellular debris, but engaging in the kind of deep renovation that researchers associated with reduced biological aging, lower rates of chronic disease, and enhanced regenerative capacity. The body is not just surviving without dinner, it is thriving because of its absence. Hormones have settled into a balance that most adults have never experienced in their modern lives. Insulin is low and stable. Cortisol, the stress hormone, no longer spikes unpredictably in the evening. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, no longer hijacks your decision-making with urgent, irrational cravings. Your nervous system has found equilibrium between its two great modes, action and rest, and you feel it in every part of your daily experience. You are calmer without being passive. You are focused without being anxious. You are energized without being wired. Your digestion has been quietly transformed. Bloating, that almost universal background discomfort of modern eating habits, has disappeared. Reflux is gone. Post-meal fatigue, that heavy, foggy crash after eating that so many people have simply accepted as normal, no longer exists in your evenings because your evenings are no longer defined by eating at all. Enzymes are efficient. The gut microbiome has rebalanced. The immune system has upgraded.
And then there is the emotional dimension, the one that surprises people most. There is a strange, quiet peace that comes from having broken a compulsive relationship with food. Not because food is bad, not because eating is wrong, but because for the first time in perhaps a very long time, you are choosing when you eat from a place of genuine awareness rather than habit, emotion, or automatic response. There is a kind of dignity in that, a self-respect that doesn't come from restriction, but from reconnection with your own body's actual intelligence. You realize, somewhere around day 14, that hunger was never the enemy. It was a language you hadn't learned to read. And once you learn it, once you can sit with the sensation and ask honestly, is this a real need or a conditioned reflex? Something changes permanently in how you move through the world. 14 days without dinner does not make you someone who never eats in the evening again. It makes you someone who understands why they do or don't, and can choose freely from that understanding. You have given your body the one thing our environment almost never gives it anymore: genuine rest from the relentless cycle of consumption. And in that rest, it remembered exactly how to heal itself. Your body was never fragile. It was never failing you. It was simply never given enough silence to show you what it was truly capable of. Now you know. The question is, what you do with that knowledge.